Welcome to NinjaCast, a photography podcast powered by Studio Ninja, the world's highest rated business management app, built specifically for photographers. Listen and learn as the most successful photographers on the planet share their knowledge to help you transform every element of your photography business. Here's your host, Sally Shaw.
Hi guys, welcome to NinjaCast. Today I'm joined by the lovely Johl Dunn. Now Johl is a mindset coach, so today we're going to be covering everything from positive mindset to making sure that you're looking after yourself in your business and daily practices that you can take to make sure that you are nurturing that positive mindset. Let's get started. Hey Johl, how are you?
Good, Sally. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for carving out the time to come and chat with me today. So, Johl, for people that may not have heard of you, can you give us a little bit of background about your journey in the industry so far?
Yeah, sure. So I started pretty young. I went to university, did photography for 3 years as a diploma or a degree, and then worked for a year at a glamour photography studio, and then decided to start my own business at 22. So I was quite young, very naive, did not know what I was in for.
Yeah.
If I had, I probably wouldn't have done it at the time, but I'm glad I did. And I started in weddings. So I sort of fell into weddings. I was going to do portrait photography, but weddings sort of was what I fell into. And I did that for 10 years until I transitioned to portrait photography because I fell out of love with the weddings and with having a small family and stuff. It was a lot of weekends. And then organically just transitioned into coaching and mentoring probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm really loving that. So at the moment, I still have a portrait studio with staff, which is in lockdown at the moment. But that's still running, and that's sort of, I probably only put 5 to 7 hours a week into that business because it's sort of set up with systems and structures and staff to run, and I just shoot. And then the coaching and mentoring is my main business now, and it's my passion and what I love.
Amazing. So what do you remember kind of a turning point where you thought, I'm still loving shooting with my camera, I'm still doing my portraits? What made you get into mentoring?
It's interesting. It's sort of pretty organic as well. It wasn't anything I ever thought I would be doing. It was just I was obviously, my business was really quite successful, and I had a lot of friends in the industry that would obviously reach out from time to time and ask how I did that marketing or what my sales process was, and it just sort of evolved from there. And it was something I decided to set up a program, and that was always going to be just a side thing I could set up and just people could do it. No, I didn't have to do too much input. But then I started realizing that people did need input, and it was the mindset stuff that was really beneficial. And so I started just, doing one-on-one calls with people, and they were getting amazing results, and I loved doing it. And I think when you love what you do, you follow it. Yeah. And I just always, if I don't love what I do, I can't do it. So with weddings, I just stopped loving it, and I just couldn't do them anymore. So portraits was the thing. And then now it's evolved into mentoring. It's a bit of an organic thing, but if you always follow what you love, it's easy to do.
Absolutely. Do I always say to people, I'm a wedding photographer as well. And I often find that, guests will approach me at a wedding and they'll be like, gosh, you must love what you do. And I always say, you've got to love weddings to be fit, to be a wedding photographer, to be in the wedding industry. If you don't love it, you certainly wouldn't do it. And I think, it's definitely, you get to that point, don't you? And I think it probably speaks for a lot of people in our industry, that you get to that point where you're like, I need something else. Yeah,
and I think for me, I loved weddings. Like when I did them, I loved them, and it was so much fun. But I remember getting to a point, I woke up, I had a wedding, and I was just dreading going. I just it didn't light me up anymore. And we had a brand new daughter, and I was away. When you're weddings, you're away all the time, and I didn't. And that's when I knew, okay, I've got to make a change, because you have to be up and about. You have to be on as a wedding photographer, and it's not fair to the couple or to you to push through if you're not enjoying it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you briefly touched there, Johl, on mindset. Mindset is, I guess, a massively unspoken topic in our industry as photographers, but I feel like it's coming around a little bit now. You're starting to hear the buzzword, if you like, around conversations a little bit more. I know mindset is a massive topic for you, something that you love talking about. So why is it important for photographers to kind of take care of their mindset and be aware of it?
Yeah, it is a bit of a, like when I started it was definitely a weird thing. Like people didn't really want to know. Same with like I talk about meditation and energy and some weird topics that aren't normal in the industry, I guess. People just want, how do I pose? How do I sell or market? So when I started, I had to do a lot of marketing and selling coaching because that's what people were wanting. It. Then that was not really aligning with what I love. So I just moved into that space, and people, my clients sort of still find me, and the people who come on board want to know about mindset.
Yeah.
It's important because you are the business as the photographer. If your mindset's not strong, you won't succeed. Like I can give you some great marketing tools, but it will fall down and you'll self-sabotage if you haven't got your strong mindset and principles and confidence and the blocks that are stopping you achieving and all that sort of stuff, because that's the power.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see it all the time. In fact, I saw it just this morning. You know, I jump onto Facebook and there's photographers groups and things going on, and you see someone self-sabotaging over their images they're about to deliver, or this email that they sent back to a client because they can't make their date, or, you know, there's so many, I guess, hurdles or points of contact where you can just go, oh no, that's all my fault. That's, you know, I'm that's because of me. I'm really awful at it. Or, you know, I guess it's instinct, right?
It is a little, and it's so much to do with confidence. Like as artists and photographers, we're procrastinators and perfectionists. And that really is not a great duo in business. Like that will sabotage business. And so many people, like photographers particularly, think it's the quality of their work that dictates how successful they're going to be. But there's so many examples of pretty, you know, what you'd call okay photographers killing it in business. And then the most brilliant photographers I've ever seen can't make it go of it in business, right? So there's no correlation there. It's all how you show up, like confidence and, you know, money blocks and different things that get in the way. And it's so powerful once you can remove them and, you know, give people that confidence. That's what mentoring and coaching does really, is give them confidence and accountability to move through those things. Yeah.
So someone comes to you, Joel, and they say, you know, maybe they don't necessarily know it's a mindset thing. Maybe they just say, you know, my business isn't working. I'm not getting the bookings. I'm not getting the inquiries. My conversion's right down. Like, how do you start to kind of dig down to that point with people where they're able to recognize that?
Pretty quick, pretty simple, really. Like it's just asking and inquiring of like where they're at, what they're doing, where they want to go with the business. And I just ask a lot of questions. And a lot of time they'll go, look, you know, I know you do mindset. I don't really need mindset. I just need marketing. Okay, cool. So why do you need marketing help? And they go, for example, they might go, I'm not getting any leads. Okay, what marketing are you doing? I'm not really, you know, posting on social. I said, okay, you're not actually doing much at the moment. So it's not marketing. It's just an action thing. You're not taking action because people get scared. Does this work? I don't know how to do this. They don't do anything. They get frozen, right? So it always comes back to mindset. Like it's, why aren't you taking it? Yeah, what's the block? Why aren't you taking the action? Or why? I had a client and she was an amazing photographer, and the first call I had with her before we even started working together, she'd done the photo shoot, but she was so scared to deliver the photos. That was 2 months, and the lady's ringing and she's just like, I can't even bear to look at them. That's how scared she was. So I walked her through it and I said, I want you to call her tomorrow, book in the sale, do the photos and do it. And she did that and did a $2,700 sale. That's US dollars too, right? And she rang back for our next call to see if coaching would be right for her. And she just said, well, I'm going to book, obviously. It's, you know, that's worked straight away because it was all in her head. Like it was all her mindset on it.
It's so easy, isn't it? You know, I mean, quite often we're in our own offices, we're on our own, we're knees deep in editing. You know, there's a lot of alone time being a photographer, isn't there? You know, you're pretty much solo unless you really make the effort to go and, you know, to a co-working space or jump on Zooms online with people. And it's an easy headspace to get into, isn't it?
It is, and that's part of the reason I introduced a webinar every week with my clients, all the ones I'm coaching at the same time, because then they see that they're not alone and like, wow, they're struggling with this, or wow, that worked for them, it can work for me, because it's so lonely in your own business.
Yeah.
And then you look on Facebook and you see people being successful, which is, you know, a lot of time it's a facade. It's just their best life. And you think you're here and they're doing this, but they're thinking the same thing. But when you get in a group, a safe group, it's so powerful to actually help you through that as well.
So what would you say to photographers or videographers, or, you know, really anyone that's listening to this, if, you know, they're struggling with their mindset? What can they do daily to kind of pick themselves up, put themselves in the right headspace?
Yeah, it all starts with habits, right? Because 90% of what we do, I think it's 90 or 95, it's pretty high, of what we do day to day is a habit. Like it's the same as we did the day before, and 80 or 90% of our thoughts are the same as the day before. So that's why it's so hard to change. So you've got to change your habits, daily habits. So things I teach in my training is like a morning meditation for a start, really simple, gratitude practices, journaling, different things to change the way you're thinking every day. And it's slow, simple process like that. So you get in the habit of, like, every day I have a meditation, gratitude. I've got a list of things I do for, say, 40 minutes, half an hour, but it doesn't have to be that long. Like mine's a bit longer than normal. It starts rewiring what's going on up here, and you've got different thoughts, which then bring on different actions, and you get different results. But if you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same result. Like that's the main thing, the habits you need to change, and the thinking, and, you know, podcasts and reading books, and obviously coaching and mentoring and that sort of thing.
Definitely. Habits are hard to break, aren't they? You know, I guess it's like, I don't know, smoking or drinking or, you know, things like that. Once you get into that habit and you're into that regular thing, it's so difficult to, or, you know, something as simple as eating chocolate every night on the sofa. It's so difficult to then not do that.
It is. Like, habits, you got good and bad habits, but they become so automatic. Like, you know, I got to a habit of just, you know, be on the couch chilling out with my wife, and an ad had come on. I just pick my phone up automatically, right? And all of a sudden you're on Facebook and you're like, oh shit. So I got in the habit then.
So bad for that. So bad for that.
Yeah. So I got in the habit of putting my phone right up at the front of the house. So it was totally not an option for me to check it. If I did, I had to walk, you know, 20 meters down the front of the house. So that broke that habit, because I wanted to break it. So you got to set yourself up for success as well. And doing things like the morning ritual I talked about is you get it done first thing in the morning. So you get up early and just do it, and it's done, right? You don't have to think about it anymore.
Are there things that, you know, people listening to this you could give some examples of things that they could do in a morning? You know, it doesn't have to be like, say, for example, I've always had this thing, and I don't know where it's ever come from, but when I get up in the morning, the first thing I have to do is make my bed and tidy the bedroom. And if that's done, I automatically feel like my day is ready to go. I feel better. Everything's clean, tidy. Let's get to work kind of feeling.
Yeah, and that's a powerful one. And that's sort of one we teach the kids, because that's like, it's a simple thing, but it's one thing you've already achieved for the day, right?
Yeah.
And it feels good because it's clean and it's done. So that's a perfect one. And it might be just, if meditation, you don't want to try, that's not your thing, it might be going for a walk, or just journaling, or just having a practice that it only has to take 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be big and crazy and elaborate. Gratitude, it's so simple. Write 3 things you're grateful for, because gratitude brings abundance and it brings positive thoughts. That's a habit. People get into the habit of being negative, right? We've all got friends or family members, you know, when you're around them, you just feel drained because they're so negative all the time, right? But you also got people, you know, that you love being around because they're so positive. That's a habit, right? They've gotten the habit of just being very negative, or you can change it though. That's the great thing. Yeah.
I guess it works the opposite way too. Like, we're talking about kind of getting up in the morning and getting ready for the day. I guess there's habits that also affect your mindset in the evening and when you're preparing to kind of wind down, go to sleep. And the only reason I think of it is because over the last few months, obviously we're peak wedding season in the summer here in the UK. And my mind has just been like overdrive with editing and all the to-do lists. And I'm sure every photographer is feeling like that after the kind of the last 18 months that we've had. But I was really struggling to switch off at night. I could be lay there awake for hours. And I was listening to the radio, and I heard somebody talking about having, you know, meditation or some kind of like downtime before you're going to sleep. And I'm so guilty for sitting there scrolling on my phone until I just feel like my eyes are tired, and then I'll go to sleep. So we started playing when we'd get into bed, and my husband and I would start to play I think it's called like a sleep talk down. And it's like a meditation that talks for an hour. And by the end of the hour, you're supposed to be asleep. I don't think I've ever heard past about 8 minutes. And it just puts me, like, switches my mind off, stops me being able to think about anything else because I'm focused on that.
Yeah, and that's super powerful because like we did my daughter is 11, and we did that one of those meditations for her because she's an overthinker, right? And she'd be just thinking and you can't sleep. So simple things like about half an hour before you go to bed, just getting off devices for a start, because the blue light, I think it triggers melatonin or something that keeps your brain ticking over, right?
Yeah.
So getting rid of, and just doing something, reading something like a real positive or just easy to read book, so it takes your mind off it. Stretching for some people, just a quick stretch, or just a meditation like you said, like those things are powerful. But also, which is super powerful, is like when you get into manifesting and stuff, or what you want to do in life and that sort of thing, it's super powerful to start thinking about that at bedtime as well, especially after you've done a little bit of a meditation, because your mind is very open and perceptible. Perceptible, is that a word? I don't know. That's a but anyway, when you're in that dreamlike state and you're going to sleep, whatever you're thinking about really seeps into your subconscious and really, you can dream about, or you can bring about really quickly. So that can be powerful if you're trying to achieve things as well.
Is that kind of, we kind of touching on law of attraction kind of grounds there, kind of asking,
correct.
Bring into the forefront of your mind what you want?
Correct. Yeah, it's touching on that. Yeah, it's an aspect of that. Like the law of attraction, I think it gets downplayed how easy it can be, but that's a part of it. Like you don't just think about something that happens, but that is part of it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Because what the mind can dream and conceive and feel, because in a dream it feels like reality, right?
For sure.
The more that you can visualize, feel it and like it is reality, the quicker it'll come to you as well. So that's powerful, and doing it over and over is powerful as well.
Yeah,
which I've used.
Habit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Joel, sales psychology is a bit of a specialist of yours, right? Now, I don't think I've ever thought of sales as having any psychological effect or having to think about it in that way. So, tell me more.
Yeah, well, it's all psychology in a way, because people buy with emotion and they back it up with logic. So you want to, it's not just the sales room. It's all should be done by the time you get to the sales room. It's the consultation, the planning appointment. Same with weddings. You're planting seeds and you're talking about, if with a wedding, for example, like how did you meet? What made you fall in love with? Like you talk and you talk about the wedding and the details, and you get them emotionally attached and excited, and then they attach that to you. Same as portraits, like we talk about the kids and what's their personalities and what's beautiful things you want to capture and really get that emotion going. And then once you got them visualizing an emotional, based visualizing, and then you can articulate, where they want to put artwork, for example, and you can really define that for them. Not just say a prices start from here and go to here. It's like above that black leather couch. I think that one of our premium canvases of the kids walking through the park with the dog, with the sun coming through, looking at each other, really detailing it. That would be around $1,000. How does that sound? They can actually, know what that is, and they can give you an answer, right? And you're already starting to plant the seed for wall art and getting emotionally attached to it. So a prime example, we had a client in before lockdown, and one of our big canvas sets, 5 canvas set, is like $3,700, and it was a bit over what they wanted to spend, but we're very upfront. They knew the price because we're very upfront with the price. They said, look, and they sent the wall through and we put it on the wall. So they saw it and it was perfect. I said, look, I know it's more than you want to spend, but this is perfect for that wall. And then I gave another option. I said, this one would be better on a smaller wall. This is $2,000. That was their budget. And they said, no, they loved it. They fell in love with it. And then they backed it up with logic. What I mean by that is they started saying, look, they taught to each other. They sold each other. Like, we probably won't do this again. We haven't done it for 8 years. It looks amazing. That's where the logic comes.
Yeah.
A lot of photographers go to logic straight away and send a price list before they've emotionally attached anything to it, and it's just numbers and figures on a page. And then people go, oh, I don't even know what that. No, I'll go for the cheaper photographer, or I won't even bother, or I don't know what that means. That makes sense. That's just and then there's building rapport and mirror and matching people to create comfort for them and their trust and that sort of thing. So, but it starts right at that first call. Yeah.
So I guess you're kind of trying to key into emotions throughout the whole process, so from a wedding photographer's or a portrait photographer's point of view, at the point of inquiry, you're trying to evoke those emotions. Tell me about how you met, tell me about your family, tell me about what your children like to do, what they enjoy, what their hobbies are, these kind of things.
Yeah, because if you make them feel good, which mums love talking about their kids as a general rule, couples love, like the brides love talking about the proposal and what their wedding flowers are going to look like and that, right? So they attach that emotion to you and they feel good around you. So they want you at the wedding and they need to trust the wedding photographer, right? So, and we used to ask questions like, who's important to you on the wedding day that you want us to capture shots with you? And they'd say, wow, no one's ever asked us that. Like, they wow. Like then all of a sudden they go, wow, they care, right? And the same with portraits. Like you can turn up and do a portrait shoot, but we find out exactly what they care about, so we're capturing those moments because that's what matters. So that's where the psychology comes in. The more you care and the more attention to detail you give them, the easier the sale is as well.
Yeah, definitely. Would you say that kind of focusing on the psychology side of things, the mindset side of things, has changed, both your photography business a few years back and now your portrait business as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like the funny thing was, like, I got in my portrait business, I was at a $1,300 average for about 5 years. And I thought that was as high in my area and my clients, no one's going to pay more. That was just the ceiling, right? And through changing and delving into mindset and all this stuff, we got it to $3,000 in about 18 months. Now, at the time, that was impossible. For me, that was like an impossibility. But once I opened up my awareness a little and changed obviously we changed some structural things, but the same photographer, same studio, same products, the price list didn't really change. Like we didn't put our prices up that much. So it was all just me and my perception of what was possible. Yeah.
I guess your clients feed off you, right? So however you deliver is how they're gonna take it. And if I think prices, it's always people always perceive it as being a tough topic, like, oh, I've got to tell them my prices, or, we hear it all the time, like we get ghosted after we give our prices for weddings. Is that because you've not gotten to know the client enough before you've given your prices?
Yeah, look, some people just aren't your client for a start. They're just not going to pay the price that you deserve, and that's fine, but there is clients that will. But if you're just sending out price lists, you're doing such a disservice to you and the client because but a lot of photographers are so scared to talk price. They go, well, I'm just going to put my price list out there. Hopefully they like it. They'll call me. If they don't, we don't have to talk about price. It's fine, but it's nothing to be scared of. Like the more confident you say a price, the more they believe it as well.
Yeah.
It's all how confident you come across and what you believe.
Absolutely. So as a business coach now then, are there some common hurdles that you see all the time that photographers, videographers are trying to overcome? Can you kind of give us a few examples, maybe the solution that you've come to?
It's probably the biggest couple of self-doubt and lack of confidence and money blocks. Like by far, those two are probably the big ones. So overcoming those is first understanding the person and delving a bit deeper into why they've got those blocks or those confidence issues, because they stem from somewhere. And most of the time they stem from childhood somewhere. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it might be like one of my clients, for example, she had a big issue with money blocks, like charging what she was worth. And it was always a struggle. And, her clients never had money. When we delved back into it and we talked a few things through, her parents had 7 businesses as a kid and they all went bust and they went bankrupt twice. And she just never put the 2 and 2 together. And she's like, holy shit, like my whole childhood was struggle and bankruptcy and, business is hard. And so we rewired all that through some affirmations and different statements and different meditations and stuff to rewire her beliefs around money and what she could charge. And I think she went from like 600 to 1900 average very quickly.
Wow.
Because that was the block. Like she just, and it's amazing how much that can dramatically change a person's business just from changing what's going on up here a little.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody focuses so much, don't they, on, you see these, you see online people promoting courses or, business coaches, like you say, that are all about marketing and make six figures and, do this to your business, do that to your business. But I guess you can't really do any of the above if you don't believe in yourself and you believe in your business in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's not necessarily like, yes, we want business success. That's definitely one of the bigger things we focus on, but it's very holistic because it has to be about your lifestyle as well. Like I've had clients that were at 10,000, they want to go to 50. And I've had clients that are at 200, want to go to 400. So it's relative to them, but it's also making it manageable within their lifestyle. So how many hours do they want to work? Like, what do they want to do? Like how many kids they have? What do they want to do as a family? What does that money afford them to do is more to the point. So why 100K? Because that'll afford us to go on a holiday overseas or send the kids to a private school, or, that's more to the point. It's that holistic view. It's not just business, work 60 hours because, I did that and it nearly burnt me to the ground. So I'm very much that balance now. And I know, obviously speaking to Chris, for example, Chris is very good at balance. Like I think anyway, from talking to him, he's very good at that balance.
Absolutely. It's easy, isn't it, in what we all do, that you just end up working constantly. I had similar to you, probably, goodness, 4 or 5 years ago now. I took on far too much. I had a whole year where I was just flat out, burnt the candle at both ends. And I was admitted into hospital. It was just pure exhaustion. They genuinely thought there was something medically wrong with me. They were doing all these tests under the sun. And actually I was just exhausted and overworked and had done far too much in a 12-month period. And it was just constant. So it's all about looking after yourself before your business as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Weddings will do that to you, right? Like if you let it, like you can, because the thing is you can take on so many weddings and it's pretty intense, right? And the thing with wedding season stuff is you're always on, like you're constantly, and your nervous system's firing, and then you stressed and you got to deliver for clients plus shoot plus keep it all flowing. And it can, like, that's why, especially now, a lot of my coaching's moved, like through COVID particularly, a lot more into mental health as well, balancing that, working hard and doing really well in your business, but the mental health and keeping it balanced. Because if you go too far one way with all the stresses that COVID brings, like the uncertainty and the fear and like the lockdowns, it's a fine balance.
Yeah.
So I do have to, because as a coach, you got to be hard sometimes, but you also got to be very careful and kind to people and make sure they're, that sometimes they need a day off or a week off or whatever. And I sort of feel into that and tell them, and a lot of the habits we do as a group or with each client is mental health stuff. Like every day, there's elements of stopping and relaxing and breathing and walking and not just work.
Yeah,
that's what happens. Yeah,
I guess that can be hard to suss out, I guess, from your point of view as well. Like that must be such a, like you say, it's such a fine line that it's almost minute that there's a fine line between pushing somebody to that next step and they just need to believe in themselves, or actually that's breaking point, and if we get pushed anymore we'll snap.
Yeah, it's just discernment. So knowing, feeling into it and feeling what's right. And like I tell my clients, one of the most important questions you can have for yourself is what's most needed here. Not what should I do, but what's most needed. Sometimes it is to push through and work an extra 3 hours and get it done. Or sometimes it's to stop, shut the computer and go hang out with your family. Like you've got to feel into what's right at the time and just go do it without the guilt.
Yeah.
Like no guilt. So if you stop work and go do something, you've got to just do it and fully do it and not be wishing or thinking you should be back at work.
That's the hard bit, isn't it? Like I've always been one of these people that's a bit of a workaholic. I'll always take on more than I should. I'm a yes person. I'll always say yes to everything that I can to try and get it all done. And then I'm like drowning in everything that I've said yes to. But then if I do switch off, I'll go and sit and, we'll watch a movie, we'll go out for dinner. I'm sat there thinking, 3 hours has passed. I could have edited another 400 photos of that wedding.
There's a lot of power in no. And that like as a reformed workaholic myself, I know what you're talking about, but like you've got to be aware that if you keep burning the candle, like you'll crash at some stage.
Yeah.
So it is part of the work. Having a break is part of the work, and because you'll come back way more refreshed when you do that as well. And just being
I had an experience a couple of weeks ago, actually. So I shot this beautiful wedding, and I think it was about 2 weekends after the wedding, and my husband and I had taken his children to the park for the afternoon. And I saw the bride from the wedding a couple of weeks prior at the park with her children. And, cast back to me 5 years ago, I'd have been sat there going, oh my God, she's going to be furious. She should, she thinks I should be working on her photos, not sat in the park on a sunny day. Like, she's going to think I'm terrible. And actually, I went over to her, stood and had a chat with her, said that, we were out with the kids, we were having a barbecue that evening. And, not once did it occur to me in the moment that mindset had changed for me, until I thought about it afterwards and thought, you know what, me 5 years ago would have totally panicked in that situation and thought, oh my gosh, like I'd have probably tried to have hidden and gotten out of the park somehow.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is really powerful when you realize how you've changed, and when you bring awareness to stuff, it's like, oh wow, like sometimes it feels like you haven't gone far, but when you realize sometimes, wow, actually I've changed quite a bit, and done really well with that. You've
got to have something to compare it to, I guess, right? You often think you've not come very far until actually you have something to sit side by side and go, oh wow, actually.
Yeah, and that's why it's powerful every year to sit back and look where you were at the start of the year. Or I got my clients to do this the other day. Is like, I think it was 6 years ago. We said, like, 6 years ago, where were you? And like, write down where you were, where you're living, everything. Now, and then some of them go, holy shit! Like, I didn't really realize. I didn't think I'd gone very far, but there was a massive gap.
Yeah, definitely. So, have you got any top tips, Johl, for running a successful business from a mindset perspective, from a coaching perspective?
Yeah, it's really great to work on your photography, obviously, and that's part of it, but also work on you, because you are the main instrument of your business. What I mean by that is keep learning and evolving. And so, like I said, podcasts like this, or books, talking to other people in the industry. Obviously, I'm biased, but coaching, like I've had 6 or 7 coaches myself. So I'm a huge advocate, because when you have a good coach or mentor, they'll fast track you by years, like literally years. In 2 or 3 months, you can fast track. And I think it's over 100K I've spent on coaching over the last 8 years, and it's worth every penny. Yeah. Like every time I get stuck, I'll look for something to unstuck me, if you want. So I'll find a coach or something, but I'm always reading as well. And I'm reading, like, it's crazy at the moment. I'm reading about neuroscience and quantum physics at the moment, which it sounds like it's got nothing to do with coaching, but it's got everything to do with mindset. Like I'm trying to, it sounds crazy, but I'm trying to bring quantum physics into something really easy to understand for my clients, because it's all based around thought and matter and what you bring into existence and that sort of thing. It's super fascinating, but it's so confusing. Yeah. It's so hard. I had a headache this morning trying to work it all out, but I think I'm getting there, because I'm not a scientist by any stretch, but I just find books that will tell me what I need to know, and then bring chunks of that into my teachings for other people, and like dumb it down, if you will, not because they're dumb, but dumb it down for myself.
Yeah.
So I can actually articulate what it is. So
especially with something like science, you know, it's simplifying it really, isn't it? Putting it into a language that you and I would understand.
Yeah. And I've read a lot of books on it, and I'm just reading one at the moment. I'm doing an online coach training thing around it, and they're both sort of now starting to make sense after I've read probably 4 or 5 books on it that didn't really, like, little bits made sense, but some of it's just so far-fetched, like time doesn't exist, for example, like so out of my realm of, like, how do you deal with that, right?
That's what I need to remember when I take a break and I sit on the sofa. I'm like, time doesn't exist. I've not been sat here 3 hours not editing.
Yeah, I know that's a bit of a tangent, but that's sort of I love bringing new things to my clients that they're not going to hear from anyone else.
Yeah.
I love the stuff I talk about is so far removed from photography, but it's so powerful in their business and makes them relevant. Yeah,
definitely. So, I mean, Joel, you sound like a pretty inspiring guy. I'm pretty sure that your clients will be inspired by you on a daily basis. Is there anyone that inspires you? Is there anyone that you look to kind of in your day-to-day life or when you think about business?
Good. It's a really good question. I think a lot of the time it's people in my life. Like, I think, like, my kids, some of the stuff my 5-year-old comes up with is just like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like some of the questions he asked, but probably my clients, I'd say, the most, because I think when you see someone really struggling and really push through that struggle and get the result, that's so inspiring. And struggle for one person might be easy for someone else, though. Like, I had a client a couple of weeks ago in my mastermind, and it was such a battle for her to call another business to do a cross promotion. And we sort of decided on the business, and we worked with her, and I told her what to say, and she just couldn't do it. And she finally did it, but she physically was sick, like physically sick before she did it. But she did it. She did it right, and she set this promo up, and it went amazingly well, and she got like 100 leads through. But I was so inspired by her because I know how hard that was for her. Like, for me, I remember doing that the first time. It was really hard. Now I could do it on my ear, so it's not hard. But for her, that was really motivating, that she pushed through that, and now she's reaping the benefits. She's getting the bookings through that now, and it's like the next time she does that, it's going to be way easier because she's now got the confidence and seeing the results of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could start your career all over again, is there anything you'd do differently?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably no.
A big one, isn't it?
Probably not, because I've made a lot of mistakes and a lot of battles and a lot of stress and ups and downs, but everything happens for a reason, I think. And it's all led me to where I am now, which I love where I am now. So changing something might have changed that trajectory. So I probably wouldn't, even though some of it was super hard, there were times where I was so stressed, I couldn't sleep, like I wasn't eating, I remember losing about 7, and I'm not a big guy. I lost 7 kilos in about a month once because I was so stressed.
Oh my goodness.
And that was horrible. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't go to sleep like you were talking about. I didn't end up in hospital like you, but it was probably close. But that was really hard. So I learned so many lessons from that as well. And that actually made me a better coach, because I haven't had smooth sailing and just being successful. I've gone from here all the way through everything. So when a client's going through that, now I can coach them. Okay, this is what I did, and this is what helped me. And
I don't know what they're feeling.
Yeah, I can empathize with them.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. If you could add a final piece of advice, doesn't matter whether that's business or personal related, what would that one piece of advice be?
Well, that's a good one. I've got this, like, I could talk for an hour on this probably. I think just back yourself is probably it. Like, know that you are definitely, you're way better than you think you are, like in every aspect. So just have the faith in yourself. And also the other one would be just get out of your comfort zone. Like, stop doing it. Like, every time you jump out of your comfort zone and try something scary in business or in life, you jump up dramatically in results. So the more you can do that, like, successful people have just got out their comfort zone more than other people. That's pretty much the only thing.
I love that. That's great. Thank you. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, Joel, how can they do that?
Probably the easiest way is my Facebook page, which is Johl Dunn, or JD Mindset Coaching. You could probably Google each of those. Sorry, put that into the search of Facebook. It's JOHL, which is a bit different, DUNN, or johldunn.com as well as the website. So yeah, happy to talk to anyone, reach out and have a chat, and see what questions if anyone's got questions on anything we went through.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. I've loved today's episode. I feel refreshed. I feel like I've had a coaching session. So I think that everybody else will feel the same that has listened to this one as well. So thank you so much for, taking out the time while you're in lockdown to come and chat with us. And I better let you get back to your family, but hopefully we'll be able to catch each other soon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm sorry I had to wear a beanie because I am in lockdown. I haven't had a haircut for so long. I just I couldn't put my hair. I had to wear a beanie.
Silly. Good. We've all been there, especially here in the UK. We've had those lockdown looks.
Yeah. So beanie, we've got some razors or some clippers on order at the moment. So hopefully they'll get here soon.
Oh, bless you. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Joel, and I'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Joel. Bye. Okay, guys, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much again to Joel for joining us. I urge all of you, if you do one thing today, to go and do a little bit of self-care. If you'd like to see the show notes, you can head to www.studioninja.co/episode 42. Please don't forget to rate us on the podcast platform that you're listening on. A little bit of love goes a very long way. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NinjaCast, brought to you by Studio Ninja. Beautifully designed and super easy to use, Studio Ninja will help you manage your leads, clients, shoots, invoices, contracts, workflows, and so much more. To learn more or start your 30-day free trial, go to www.studioninja.co.